What is up, my beautiful, beautiful peach? I am very excited about this episode. I last week actually did an episode where I kind of did a little introduction of if you are refusing to track your macros and you want to reach your goals, you will not be hitting your goals without tracking your macros. This is kind of like the sequel to that episode. I also do have Trisket, my little co-host today in my lap because she wants to bark at everybody outside, and she is now no longer wanting to sit in my lap. So it's like corralling this little 9-pound dog to try and sit here calmly, and it's not going well for me. But that's okay. We will rock and roll with it. So today we are actually going to be talking about 7 things I would not do. I would not do if I wanted to stop starting over every weekend. Is that correct? Was that a double negative? 7 things I would not do. Basically, don't do these 7 things and to help you stop starting over every single weekend. Okay. Now, I do want to do a quick introduction of why you do restart every Monday. Okay. And if you're somebody who is stuck in the cycle of being on track Monday through Thursday, and then you find yourself completely spiraling over the weekend, it is one of those things where we feel like we have to be absolutely perfect. So we are, restricting from Monday to Thursday. We are, normally in our normal routine at home. And so it's probably a little bit easier for us to have our food scaled, to know what we're eating, to have those foods tracked. And then the weekend hits, and all of a sudden you have these fun social events you want to go to. You have these exciting things that you want to do, and you go off your rocker, right off track you go, and it turns into that, that self-sabotage, the shame spirals, the all or nothing. So these are the 7 things that I would aim to start doing now to start to really work yourself out of those self-sabotage cycles, okay? Now, the first one is actually pretty straightforward, but I would really highly, highly, highly suggest to stop restricting all week long in preparation for a weekend binge. So I have had some people who do what's called carb cycling, excuse me. There's also another term that I saw somebody call it, and I was like, oh, interesting. I've not seen it before. But carb cycling, and it's basically where you're eating less during the week and then eating more over the weekends. There's 2 different thoughts here. So if you are being intentional about it and actually doing carb cycling, this can mess a lot with your digestion. And if your goal is to heal your metabolism, if the goal is to actually lose fat long term, it actually can mess with your progress. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. But on top of that, for like me personally, my old game plan, because I made this mistake prior to, all my education, all my, my thriving with macros, but I would restrict all week long. I would stick to my 1,200 calories or less. I would cut carbs. I would only eat what I considered like a clean food. And what would happen is by Friday night, I was face first in a family-sized bag of chips and all of the French fries. I was feeling so incredibly restricted that I could not help myself, and I just wanted to completely binge, okay? And your body is not actually meant to survive on low calories and extreme restriction. So by the time that the weekend actually hits, you are feeling so deprived that mentally you're just like, wow, I want to eat all the things. And so you will actually have that binge happen. But number 2, our brains are actually going to be triggered. So our brain is going to be triggered to create the environment for a binge, basically like bring you to create that binge because it is feeling so restricted from the food, and it doesn't feel like it's getting enough adequate food to keep your body fueled. So it's a double whammy there of you mentally just being like, wow, I am so deprived. I am missing out on all the things. Whew, I've been good all week. Let me go eat, a couple of French fries. And then you think, oh, I'm already off track. I might as well keep going. Next thing you know, you are in an all or nothing spiral. You have this self-sabotage and you are face first in all the food. All of a sudden you like black out and whoa, it's Monday. And you're like, shoot, what have I done? And you have to start over. Okay. So we have that going on. We also have our mind actually being triggered to binge because it doesn't feel it has enough food. I've talked about this on some of my past episodes, but our body literally cannot tell the difference of us being stranded on a random island and not being able to get food. So we are literally starving versus us starving ourselves, having access to all the food, but simply not eating it. Our body cannot tell the difference. It will go into our basically like safety mechanism mode either way, and it will cause that binge, okay? So the fix here is honestly two different pieces. Number one, if you are in a really low calorie intake, I highly, highly, highly recommend a reverse diet. I have past episodes on this. You can also take a peek at my reverse diet course, 100% self-guided, but this is also what I teach in my Beautiful Peach Mastermind, BPM, okay? The second thing here, if you are ignoring weekends when you are planning in your nutrition, we are planning your macros. So if you have ever been in a place where you feel, on track all week, kind of like we talked about, but then on Monday you're bloated, you're discouraged. Hi, that was me in the past. The big thing here is our bodies aren't just going to reset on Monday. Our bodies do need consistency. And so what I would do in the past, and this kind of plays into the first, our first point here of restricting all weekend to prepare for the weekend binge. I was really just like not even planning anything over the weekend. I was basically just like, I'm going to go haywire. So I'm going to do my absolute best to restrict as much as I possibly can, to do extra cardio, to make up for what I'm going to be doing over the weekend. And it would cause me to feel almost like unhinged when it came to the weekend because I didn't have any structure. I didn't have any kind of game plan. And for me, I am a huge structure person. I do really well when I'm able to have an action plan that I can follow. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall. But when I have a strategy and it actually includes eating the food that I love, then I feel like I have a much better ability to hit my actual goals, okay? Keep this in mind because it's actually going to play into a couple of the different pieces as we're going through here, okay? Now, and actually this one plays really, really well into it. So it's saying yes to every event, right? So you're saying yes to every single event, which is great. Like I want you to be saying yes to the social settings, but you're not actually creating the game plan. I also don't want you saying no to every single social setting, okay? Because that's the polar opposite. That's still the all or nothing mentality of, yes, I'm going to say yes to every single social event, but I'm going to have absolutely no game plan. So you are setting yourself up for, hey, I'm going to go binge the weekend away. And also saying no to everything because you're so fearful of getting off track. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. It's still the polar opposites. You still are in that all or nothing. You have no median line. You have no middle point that you can follow. So I would say yes to every brunch, every happy hour, every dinner, but I never had any plan. And so what actually happened is I would stare at the menu in full on panic because I was like, I have no idea what to do right now. And then I would say, what have we been saying this whole entire time? I'd be like, screw it. I don't know what to do in this situation. I have no idea how to navigate that. I don't really have the time to step away and try and create a game plan. Plus, also, I'm already feeling so stressed. I don't think I would mentally be able to step away and make the game plan. I'm already at the dinner. I want to start enjoying. I would say, screw it. That's fine. I'm just going to start over again. And the big thing here is you don't want to be saying no to social events. You want to be saying yes, but you want to be pre-planning and knowing how to actually track and navigate your macros in those scenarios so you can still support your metabolism, your fat loss, your muscle growth goals, your muscle growth goals. And it really, 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 instead of going in blind, you need to have a strategy. Look up the menu ahead of time. Prioritize your protein and fiber earlier on in the day. Do not show up starving. This is going to lead to overeating and food regret, okay? You want to make sure you have a game plan. And I highly, highly, highly suggest if you are someone who is like, I have my macros, great. I literally cannot hit them in a social setting. I highly suggest checking out Master Your Macros. This is actually going to help you navigate. This is my, it's not brand new because I actually ran it as a challenge previously, but I was not going to open up a challenge again for like another year, if that. And I have so many women who are like, I really need to master my macros. So I actually turned it into a self-guided course for under $100. It is currently $100. It might not stay that way, but it is currently under $100. And it is going to help you learn how to navigate social situations without ruining your progress so you can continue to see results, okay? The next thing is I would actually really, really aim to not think an off-track meal has ruined everything, okay? So the process of mastering your macros and the process of learning how to do something that's outside of your normal comfort zone think about it this way. I love to think about it in like the real world perspective, okay? So think about something that you have done that you might be really good at right now, but you started somewhere, okay? So whether that is strength training, whether that is your job, whether that is, a hobby that you have, whatever it might be, you started somewhere. You started at the very beginning and you messed up. But did you think, oh my gosh, I'm a failure? Man, I cannot believe I, did XYZ at work. I am just going to quit my job. I am done. This is not for me. I am a failure. You don't just up and quit your job. You either ask for help. Somebody gives you corrective criticism. You learn how to do it the right way. You don't just throw in the towel. You keep going forward. And that is the exact same way that I want you to think about your overall journey of learning how to get through the all or nothing mentality, learning how to hit your goals. You will mess up, and that's okay. So when you just like eat a cookie and you immediately think, oh, today is ruined, I might as well keep going. This is where you are allowing your mindset to keep you stuck, okay? So number one meal is not going to ruin your progress, okay? Number two, fit that cookie into your macros and you're golden. But number three, if you have a night out and you're learning to master your macros and you end up binging, don't beat yourself up for it. Remind yourself that like a child learning how to walk is going to continue to fall again and again and again. My nephew is actually so cute. He is walking and oh my goodness, he is just speedy. He is one speedy little man. We went to REI. We're going actually on a ski trip in Switzerland in 2 weeks, which I'm very excited about. Actually, it might be right around when this podcast is released. I might be in Switzerland when you are listening to this. Go look at my story. I think I will be. Go look at my story on Instagram. I'm probably skiing in Switzerland as you are listening to this. But he will fall a lot. But you know what he actually doesn't do? He doesn't burst into tears. Sometimes he does, because sometimes it hurts. He actually starts laughing. He starts laughing, and I'm like, gosh, what an incredible way to be, that when he messes up, he laughs and he's like, oh, that was funny. Let me try this method. And he'll figure out to stand up. Right now, he stands up. He sticks his little booty in the air. He does kind of like like he's about to bear crawl, and he sticks his butt up in the air, and then he'll kind of like get his body up. It's so cute. Gosh, it's so cute. But the thing is, be like my nephew. Be like sweet little James, who falls down, laughs it off, and figures out how to get up. It is wild watching him. He is one smart little man, but he messes up all the time when you see him, but it doesn't stop him. He doesn't stop. He keeps going and he figures out how to do something correctly. And that's the way that we have to think about not just our job, not just becoming a mom, not just learning to walk, not just trying a new hobby, but also going into your fitness and nutrition journey, going into this place where you want to heal your metabolism, you want to lose fat, you want to gain this muscle. We got to stop throwing in the towel the second it gets hard and the second we, mess up. We have to look at those mess ups as a reason to figure out what we did wrong and to keep going, okay? The piece about this too, and I kind of talked about the fact that like if we have a cookie and we immediately think, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I ate a cookie, that was so bad of me. We are, I don't know why I use this word. We're demonizing food. I don't use that word, but we're basically making food, we're demonizing it. We're making food seem like the worst thing in the world rather than learning how to fit them in, okay? I am an absolute foodie. I love food. It genuinely brings me joy. I like to eat. I like to eat fun foods. I like to eat the food the food I'm eating every day is going to be enjoyable for me. So for breakfast, I have been making like biscuits, so like bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits that fit my macros, that are really, 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 really tasty. I actually use almond and oat flour. Is it oat flour? Why am I forgetting what it is? My husband is gluten and dairy free, so we've been trying to find, it's more of a recent thing. We're trying to figure out fun foods, and I'm like, wait, this is actually kind of fun. I am making delicious shrimp tacos for lunch. I want to get a little taco tray to start making it a fun experience. And the beautiful piece about this is I don't feel any guilt because I know that I am enjoying the food that I love. I'm still eating very nutrient dense foods. I really, really believe in the 80-20 rule, where you are eating 80% nutrient dense foods that are healing for your body, that are fueling for your body. And then 20% of those foods are tasty, fun, and enjoyable. Okay. Now, I really want us to stop looking at food as the worst in the entire world. And the way to really support this change in our mentality is to actually just do it. Just start fitting the cookies into your macros, to start adding in those foods that were previously off limit into your macros, because the more that you are fitting them in, and also the more that you are actually hitting your macros consistently, the more you will see results. Now, what we don't want to have happen is you to fit those things into your macros, but to still not hit your macro goals, because if we're not hitting our macro goals, we're not going to be seeing results. And if we're not going to be seeing results, then we're not going to feel good about what we're doing, and we're going to throw in the towel. So the goal here isn't just to fit those foods into our macros, but it's also to hit our macros, because that's when the consistency starts to happen, and that's when we actually start to see results. Okay. I have women who come to me and they say, hey, Caitlin, I've been fitting fun food into my macros every day. I'm feeling good about my food, but I'm not seeing results. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this a little bit more. Can you give me a little bit of an idea of how often you've been hitting your macros? Have you been tracking them and hitting them for, a month? Has it been 2 months? They're like, well, I actually haven't hit them. I'm like, all right, so let's start there. Let's take a deep dive there first. I talked about this in one of my past episodes, but when it comes to the overall journey that my clients go through, I think about it as a 3-step phase, okay? A 3-step phase. First is getting your proper custom macros. We don't want to be using MyFitnessPal. We don't want to be using anything that types out or just uses our height, weight, age, and activity factor and spits out some random number. That's going to be vastly inaccurate, and it's going to either lead to overestimating and creating weight regain, or massively underestimating and creating a slow metabolism, some metabolic damage. If you have been using a macro calculator that did that, don't panic. Just go grab my C. Schmidt macro calculator, or send me a DM on Instagram or something, and I can guide you on how to grab that. But it's going to give you your custom macros. But the idea here is you want to have macros that are going to be perfect for your personal metabolism. You as a human, what I call the human factor. So your metabolism, your diet history, your goals, all of those pieces need to be taken into account. So that's step 1, proper macros. Step 2 is actually mastering your macros. If you do not know how to actually hit your macros accurately, you're not ready to start adjusting your macros. You're not ready to start going into that piece. You need to be able to hit your macros consistently. This is something that I teach in my Beautiful Peach Mastermind, my coaching program. But when we're not actually hitting our macros, you can't have a macro adjustment, because your body isn't going to be able to understand what you're doing, and that can cause skewed progress. So I've had women who came to me, who said that they were doing a reverse diet, and I'm like, okay, great. They've gained 30 pounds. I'm like, ooh, that's not actually a reverse diet. Gently giving them the kind of hey, by the way, I don't think, that's, you might not be doing it the right way. We kind of get a deep dive on what's going on. They're either just increasing their calories by 50 to 100 calories, which is not the way that we reverse diet. I do have a past episode on that one. I don't know the actual number of that episode, but if you scroll back, you should be able to find that one. I've also got an episode on should you gain weight during a reverse diet, as well as should you lose weight during a reverse diet, all really good episodes. But the point here is we really want to make sure that we are mastering our macros in order to have consistency, so we can hit our macros, so we can start seeing results, and then we can go into those macro adjustments, okay? And then the third step is to actually start to adjust those macros for your reverse diet, for your calorie deficit, if you want to lean bulk, and going into that. So the last one here is maybe one of the most important ones, and something that I personally really, really struggled with. We cannot believe that we have to be perfect, or else I'm off track. I am I'm like the biggest perfectionist. I really, really am. But if we believe we have to be perfect, this is also going to push us into the all or nothing mentality. And the easiest way to do an analogy here is you are pouring a cup of milk. You're pouring it out of the carton. A little bit of milk spills, right? You don't just knock over the rest of the cup that has the milk in it and pour out the rest of the milk on the counter from the carton. No, you finish pouring your glass, you wipe up the counter, and you move on. Think of this journey as the same. When you mess up, you're not just going to throw in the towel. You're going to remind yourself that you are like a child who's learning to walk. You are a grown adult woman, and that is also amazing, right? You're a grown up. You can put your big girl panties on and remind yourself that we get to make mistakes, and that's how we learn and we grow. And really owning up to that potential that you have, to that worthiness that you have, to that just belief that you get to have in yourself, that's what's going to push you forward. And the goal is to have consistency, not perfection. Okay? Consistency, not perfection. So if you have a day where you end up binging, where you end up off track on a weekend, this is not a make or break. This is just a little road bump. Think about it of you going from point A to point B. Let's say you were going from California to Colorado, okay? You've got your roadmap, you know where you need to go. Let's say you're halfway through, I don't even know where you would be. Let's say you're just halfway through. I'm so bad, I cannot envision a map right now. My brain's not working, but you're going from, did I say Colorado to California or California to Colorado? I think you're going from California to Colorado. I don't know. We're gonna say you're going from California to Colorado. You're halfway through, okay? If you all of a sudden oh my gosh, you're running out of gas. Okay, well, you need to pull over. You've got a little sidetrack, but you're still halfway there. You're still going forward. It's the same way. If you all of a sudden have a little slip up, it does not mean that you have to turn around and go straight back to California. It just means you need a little rest stop, and then you get back up and you keep going forward. You will get to Colorado. You will get to your point B, but you have to have that consistency rather than the perfection mentality, okay? So I hope you enjoyed these little tips and tricks. These are all actually things that I have personally done in my own past. And then I also see probably every single day in the women who I am reaching out to. One of the gals actually who just enrolled in BPM this morning actually, is somebody who we were talking and we were going through all these different pieces. And she was like, Caitlin, I think I do all of these. And I'm like, oh, I am so excited to work with you. I get very, very excited because I am a very, very hands-on coach and I love to really take a deep dive. And there's something to be said about having some hand holding as you are getting from that point A to point B, going from California to Colorado, or wherever the heck you really want to go, right? To that fat loss, to the healing your metabolism, to the food freedom, right? So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you in the next one. If you are interested in what I am doing in Switzerland, go look at my story on Instagram. I am probably having the time of my life, and I'm very, very excited about it. All the good food, all the fun things. I'm excited. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, beautiful peach.